This is the scariest horror movie from South Korea in recent years. Hailed as the top of Korea's 3 haunted houses and one of the world's 7 most terrifying forbidden places, the Gonjiam Psychiatric Hospital. It's here. Reminder. This film is very scary, so it's best to watch with friends. Gonjiam Psychiatric Hospital opened in 1961 and was once Korea's top psychiatric facility. However, in 1979, all patients mysteriously committed suicide overnight, and the director vanished. As a result, Gonjiam Psychiatric Hospital became a forbidden place for all Koreans. Recently, a short video went viral online, showing 3 high school students visiting the hospital late at night. Their goal was to open the legendary cursed room 402. As they tried to pry open the door with tools, a strange sound suddenly came from behind them. Simultaneously, a frightening ghost face appeared on each door. Soon after, the 3 high school students vanished. The news spread across the internet, causing a huge sensation. A self-media group called Horror Era decided to form a team to explore Gonjiam at night to gain traffic. A 7-member team soon departed. If the live broadcast hits 1 million viewers, they will earn 1 billion won. Everyone was excited. Amid laughter, they reached their destination and set up a tent on the mountain as a temporary command post. As night fell, the captain stayed at the base camp to oversee everything, while the others headed towards the psychiatric hospital. On the way, a white cloth stood out and they tied it to a branch as a marker. Soon, they arrived at the hospital's main entrance, where the words, "You will die soon," were written in large letters. The eerie atmosphere excited them rather than scared them. After setting up, the live broadcast began. On the second floor of the hospital, they were greeted by a dilapidated scene. The walls were covered with various eerie patterns, and the air was filled with an endless chill. At this moment, the host was explaining in the corridor, but the next second, the door suddenly closed. It was the director's office. They bravely entered and found a photo of a patient with the director. At first glance, it seemed normal, but upon closer inspection, each person's eyes were looking in different directions, and the patient on the director's left was holding a creepy doll, which looked terrifying. After a brief stay, they conducted a spirit summoning ritual as instructed by the captain. A girl with short hair knelt, burned a talisman, and placed it in holy water. Everyone faced the altar, waiting for the ghost to appear. At this time, the live broadcast viewership suddenly exceeded 80,000. Suddenly, something terrifying occurred. The candles in the closed room went out, the curtain bells rang, and strange sounds came from the ear. Everyone was terrified and rushed to escape, but the captain couldn't help but laugh out loud. It turned out that everything that happened was a prank orchestrated by him, the host, and the cameraman to gain more views. To boost realism, the others remained unaware. The live broadcast viewership surpassed 100,000, pleasing the captain, who urged everyone to intensify their efforts. However, they didn't know that the real ghost was quietly approaching. The group arrived at the therapy room, a small room filled with dozens of wooden cabinets, each with a hole on top. To enhance the show's effect, the host unhesitatingly put her hand inside. Suddenly, she seemed to be grabbed by something and struggled to break free. The girl with the hat thought she was pretending and, ignoring any explanation, also put her hand inside. In the frantic pulling of the crowd, the girl with the hat finally broke free.
But at this moment, a vertical cut appeared on her arm. Could there really be a ghost inside? Just then, the cabinet door slowly opened, revealing nothing inside. Everyone's expressions froze at this sight. At this moment, a scarf was blown over the head of the girl with the hat, and everyone screamed and ran outside. The room was sealed, so there was no way for the wind to come in. The only explanation was that a ghost was at work. The girl with the hat was completely terrified, but despite everyone's objections, she and the girl with the hat fled the psychiatric hospital. The series of strange events made the host and cameraman realize the danger. After all, these scenes were not part of the show. They began to have second thoughts, but the captain ordered them to persist and decided to show them the money. Reluctantly, they continued, but it wasn't long before the captain's side also experienced anomalies. The lights in the tent suddenly went out, and the small space was engulfed in darkness. The screen flickered briefly before stabilizing, while online viewership surged to 700,000. The captain believed this was due to the excitement of his show. But was that really the case? At this time, the host and cameraman arrived at the storage room, accompanied by a wheelchair that slid out on its own. Items in the room fell one after another. The wheelchair attached to the ceiling fell, striking the host. The cameraman, witnessing this, ran for his life, disregarding his teammates' safety. Meanwhile, the girl with the hat and the girl with the hat were still frantically heading back to the camp. However, after walking for a long time, they found themselves still in the same place, and it wasn't over yet. The girl with the hat anxiously looked at the ground and found it covered with laboratory equipment. Could it be that they never left the psychiatric hospital? The girl with the hat was terrified, calling out to the girl with the hat, but she didn't respond, her back turned. Trembling, the girl with the hat reached out to touch her, only to witness a scene she would never forget. The Gonjiam exclusive rap horror struck, and the girl with the hat was instantly overwhelmed, running desperately towards the camp. After much hardship, she finally found the group, but upon entering, the captain was nowhere to be seen. Turning on the flashlight to look around, she realized she was back in the psychiatric hospital. Even more terrifying, she was in the cursed room 402. As the light moved, she saw the girl with the hat facing the wall and found the creepy doll from the photo on the ground. Before she could react, a strange sound emerged, and a bizarre ghost appeared. The girl in the hat was terrified, desperately pounding on the door to escape. But the next second, the cameraman woke up from unconsciousness. Having experienced the horror of Gonjiam, he hurriedly found his teammates trying to open room 402 and urged them to leave quickly.
The captain, seeing this on the screen, was furious. It was the crucial moment to hit 1 million views, and he couldn't give up. Trusting them was not an option. The captain gathered his gear and took action himself. At this time, the three were preparing to leave when the doorknob behind them started turning wildly, and the voice of the girl with the hat calling for help came from inside. They tried to break in, but the door wouldn't budge. Soon, the girl with the hat went silent. The three were completely terrified. Just then, the lights in the corridor began to flicker, and the surroundings plunged into darkness. Before they could figure out what was happening, the door to room 402 opened on its own. The three found themselves in room 402, a dark and eerie space surrounded by a pool. Looking up, even the ceiling was the same. As they pondered the horror, ghostly hands brushed across their cheeks. The cameraman quickly switched to night vision mode to check, only to see several ghosts in the camera. Currently, 2 teammates have lost consciousness, leaving only the cameraman alive, but his life will soon end too. The captain has already reached outside the building and happens to see something desperately struggling in the window ahead. However, this scene doesn't scare him, as the motivation of millions of viewers keeps him going. He enters room 402 quickly, but his companions are missing. As the captain looks around, a female ghost appears behind him through the window. The contact with her body makes him tremble with fear. Gathering his courage, he turns the camera to check, only to find his teammates have all perished. Now, only. The host survives alone. When he wakes up from unconsciousness, he finds himself tightly bound to a wheelchair. In the next second, the wheelchair starts moving on its own, pulling him directly into room 402. At this point, the entire squad is wiped out. The camera then returns to the live broadcast room, but the display shows the number of viewers has dwindled to just about 50 people. The performance comes to an end, and the ghosts on the seats slowly rise and then exit the live broadcast room with satisfaction. The captain might never have imagined that the surge in popularity was actually orchestrated by the ghosts, whose goal was to lead everyone step by step into the abyss of death. Truly, one must always hold a heart of reverence and not recklessly risk their life for temporary gain. Well, that's the end of today's story. I'm Shangzu, see you next time.